I don't see my rating changing in the... Now y'all gonna do stuff? Now y'all gonna do construction? Hey y'all, it's Brody, and today I'm here to give you my spring wrap-up. In case you didn't notice, I was on a hiatus for a long time, and I was also in a reading slump, so I didn't read that much. From like March to end of April, I read like 2 books in March and April, so I figured why not just like put everything in here since I'm already doing a May wrap-up. And I know I said before that I wasn't going to do wrap-ups, I was just going to try and do every 5 books, but that clearly didn't work out either. So we're just testing the waters and seeing what's good. The first book I'm going to talk about today is the graphic novel Wytches. It's by a handful of people. Stephen King blurbed it saying, "It's fabulous, a triumph." This story follows a teenage girl named Sailor and her family as they are moving from their old town, to a new place, because something bad happened in the past between Sailor and another girl. Some scandals. There's some scandals in this, and some murders and like zombie witch things. I don't know. It's very dark, very spooky, atmospheric as fuck. And the art, I'm gonna see if I can find some art that's not like spoilery art, because like realty, we're all reading graphic novels for the art. This is just like the first page. The art is gorgeous. But yeah, very dark, very not gory, but I would say like if this was a movie, it'd be rated like T for teen. You know what I mean? There's also some instances of like animal death in here and people death, and also some kind of problematic representation with the disabled character that I can't really get into. But just be aware of that before you pick this up, and probably seek out some Own Voices reviews for people in wheelchairs. Thank you. All in all, I am going to give Wytches 4 stars because the point of this book was to creep me out and give me weird feelings, and it definitely did that. The second book I'm going to talk about today is The Devouring Gray by Christine Lynn Herman. This book was pitched as Stranger Things meets Raven Boys, but to me it's a little bit more like Riverdale. Also, look at this cover. It's gorgeous. Love that. Riverdale / like Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which, by the way, in her author photo, it's giving me all of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina vibes. I live. This book follows a teen girl named Violet who is moving back to her mother's hometown of 4 Paths in New York. 4 Paths, New York. Violet is unaware that she is actually a descendant of one of the founders of 4 Paths. She has to deal with being the new girl in school as well as being like the child of a founder. All of the founders have different powers, and they protect the town from a creature who is in like this alternate dimension of 4 Paths called the Gray. It's also very dark. Not that graphic. It's a good time. I would recommend it if you are a fan of Riverdale or also The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It leans more towards that with the magic aspect, but also the parental aspect of Riverdale, how like the parents also have their own storylines. It's very much that. Also, this book is super diverse. There are multiple bisexual characters. There's a disabled character. It's so good. Like, this book was like A+. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. All of these next books are going to be May reads, which means that a lot of them were done for the Asian Readathon hosted by Read with Cindy and hosted by some kick-ass people. I recommend going to watch that live show back. Well, yeah, the first read that I had for the Asian Readathon was My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness by, where's the name? Nagata Kabi. This is a graphic memoir about the author's experience coming into their sexuality, not necessarily realizing it, but, you know, taking the first steps in actually having a sexual relationship, and also getting out of the teen years, coming through depression, learning to be your own person as an adult, and not constantly living in your parents' shadow. But yeah, this one was a good time. It made me laugh. It made me tear up a lot. Highly recommend. This one was also 5 stars. The next book I read for Asian Readathon was Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. Holy shit. Holy shit. This book follows 3 sisters who are all in line for the throne in this fantasy world. Let me get comfy. In this fantasy world, there are always 3 sisters who are born at the same time, and they each have a different magical power. One of them, Catherine, is a poisoner, which means that she can ingest poisonous things, and, you know, venom doesn't affect her. It's very interesting, very dark and gothic. The second sister, these are not in the correct order, but the next sister is Mirabella, who is an elemental. The elementals also deal more with the religious side, where they have, like, the priestesses, and, like, they worship the goddess and stuff like that. The third queen is Arsinoe, and Arsinoe is very wild and devil-may-care. She is a naturalist, which means that she can, like, grow plants and, like, summon animal familiars and stuff like that. All 3 of these queens have a year to kill each other, and one will take the throne. This is not that year, though. This is, like, the build-up to the year where that's coming. They're all coming of age at this point. This was very enjoyable at certain parts. I will say that a lot of people don't have a favorite queen, but I'm here to tell you the sequel is coming out at the end, like, in a couple of months. I'm here for Team Catherine. Fuck everyone. Catherine's gonna win. I don't give a fuck. Catherine has to win. I'm going to give 4 stars, mainly for Catherine's point of view chapters, because I did find myself getting kind of bored with Mirabella's perspective. I didn't really think that she added a whole lot to the story, and maybe that's just me, but I definitely preferred Catherine and then Arsinoe. Arsinoe was fun. So yeah, 4 stars. I just got kind of bored at a certain point. 2019 releases, and that is Hot Dog Girl by Jennifer Dugan. This follows Eloise Parker, who is the Hot Dog Girl, as you can probably guess. She's a chaotic bisexual who works at a local theme park called, like, Magic Funland or something. Magic Castle Playland. And this is her summer of senior year, and it's also the last summer that the park is going to be open. Eloise has a crush on a fellow staff member named Nick. He's the diving pirate dude right there who's making googly eyes at the Taylor Swift knockoff. And Celie is Eloise's best friend. Eloise is also trying to set up Celie with some girls. One thing that this book does not talk about, because the plot just says that Eloise is trying to find a way to stop Magic Castle Playland from closing, is the fake dating plot. If you're a sucker for a fake dating romance, I guess I recommend this book, because Eloise and Celie fake date to make Nick jealous, which is kind of problematic and not really the mature thing to do, but hey, this is young adult, and they're like 17 years old. Not saying 17-year-olds are not mature, but like, this is YA. And Eloise is a constant maker of bad decisions. Was a little disappointed. I did enjoy it. I had a fun time, but my socks weren't knocked off like I thought that they would be. And yeah, I would give it like 3 stars. It's good. The next book I read, oh boy, this was for Asian Readathon as well, and that is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. This is a graphic novel by Mariko Tamaki and Rosemary Valero O'Connell. This was another very anticipated release for me. Lots of most anticipated releases. In this video, all the books in the world came out in May. It's a problem. My paychecks are non-existent. Was very excited for this book. Was very disappointed by this book. It follows a girl named Freddie, and Freddie is dating Laura Dean, who is a bad significant other. Freddie is constantly getting her heart broken by Laura Dean because Laura Dean is standing her up or cheating on her or whatever, and there's no discussion of like, well, why don't we just be polyamorous, or why don't we have an open relationship? No, Laura Dean's just a hoe, and Freddie just lets her be a hoe and gets her heart broken. And this book made me very mad. This is a 1 star. It's beautiful. The art is beautiful. I really enjoyed it. There are some interesting plot lines here, but all in all, it's just Freddie being a bad friend to her small friend group and letting this girl walk all over her until, it's not worth it. I do not recommend this book unless you want to get mad. If you're looking for something to rant and review about, then sure, pick this up. I'm not doing spoilers, so I can't get too much into it, but this was a 1 star for me. And this is one of my first 1 stars of the year. I never give books 1 stars, but this one was just, it made me mad. It made me mad. After those two, I was ready to hop back into the world of 3 Dark Crowns and Fenburn, so I read 1 Dark Throne. This book picks up right where 3 Dark Crowns left off. I can't really say a whole lot about this without getting into spoilers for the first one, but this book is very dark. It's darker than the first one. Catherine continues to be my favorite for reasons that you will, realize if you read the series. I enjoyed this one a lot more than the first one, but there weren't as many Catherine chapters in here, and it upset me. I still gave this one 5 stars, though. The next book I read for Asian Readathon was Internment by Samira Ahmed. This follows 17-year-old Layla Amin and her family in the not-so-distant future, where Muslim Americans are being forced into internment camps because of a Muslim registry that happened. They were all documented, and then the government, being the racist pieces of shit that they are, sent all of them to a concentration camp, basically. Oh boy, this book, I know a lot of people said that they felt it was kind of like childish and immature, and like the things that were happening were not bad, and no, they were bad. They were bad. There is very graphic violence in this book. I recommend just being wary of that if graphic violence or physical displays of racism or something that bother you. Also, electrocution, gassing, like just general brutality and violence. There are some scenes in this book that made me cry, like in public. Like I was reading it, like on my lunch break at work, outside at like a picnic table, and just like bawling my eyes out. This book is something that is very much needed. It is important that we have these kind of stories, and I am very glad that it exists. This book, I rated instant 5 stars. I don't see my rating changing in the... Now y'all gonna do stuff? Now y'all gonna do construction? I don't see my rating changing in the foreseeable future. I highly recommend everyone pick it up, and just take care of yourselves. That's all I'm going to ask. The next book on this list, I was so excited. I won a giveaway on Twitter, and it took some time to get here because there were issues where they said my apartment was vacant and then sent it back to the author, and the author went to repackage it and try it in a bubble mailer instead to see if that worked better than a box. And someone had put another family's vacation photos and photos of their dogs in there. I was very concerned and also shocked and bamboozled and hoodwinked. It's Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This book is on everyone's lips right now, and for good reason. I received an art copy. I don't own a finished copy because, like, I have an art copy and I can't really justify purchasing a finished copy, even though I really want one to see if anything got changed at the last minute. This book follows Alex Claremont Diaz, who is the first son of the United States, and Prince Henry, yes. And Prince Henry, who is the Prince of Wales. And they have always kind of had like a low-key feud. And then one day at the royal wedding, there's a fiasco that happens. A scandal, if you will. And then, in order to save face in the eyes of the press, they have to pretend to be best friends. And this turns into, fucking. Yeah, they fuck. A lot. This is a new adult novel, by the way, not a young adult novel, which Casey has been very adamant about on Twitter. This is smutty to an extent. It's not, like, hardcore, you know, like, free Kindle Unlimited smut, but it's like, it's a little steamy, it's a little, you know, there's quite a few sex scenes, but not, like, graphic, in-depth, like, going at it sex scenes. Yeah, also, there are very good discussions about bisexuality, and, it's so cute. I love it. It's so cute. It makes me so happy, and, I'm so happy that this book exists. And yeah, go read it and support Casey. Thank you very much. 5 stars. That we're coming down to the last 5 books on the wrap-up. This was my most anticipated book of 2019. You all know what it is. Alright? On the count of 3, you can say it. 1, 2, 3. I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. She wants to get naked. This book follows a non-binary character named Ben DeBacker who comes out to their parents as non-binary. The parents kick Ben out of the house, and they have to go live with their sister, who they have not seen in like 10 years. Very like estranged family. It's been a while. Then Ben also has to circumnavigate going to a new school, as well as a cute boy who is like low-key, you know, trying to slide into the DMs. This was not as fluffy as I expected it to be. It gets very dark, and it's very realistic, and I appreciate that. This book made me cry. I did a reading thread on Twitter, which I will link below. I Wish You All the Best made me cry. Count it. 17 times. Yeah. It was so good. It was so beautiful. No spoilers. Highly recommend picking this up. I know that there are a couple of queer readathons going on in June, which are using I Wish You All the Best for the group book. Definitely recommend. I kind of want to do a full book talk on it, but I don't really do book talks here. So, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this will be the first one. Yeah. Triggers for being kicked out. That's a trigger. Shitty parents, being misgendered, and anxiety. There are panic attacks in this book. There's also very good, like, on the page, going to therapy representation, which, like, I don't think I've seen in any book before, especially not a young adult book. Like, going to a therapist who specializes in queer people, and like, this book had a lot of stuff that I'd never seen before. Like, revolutionary, groundbreaking content. We have decided to stand forever. Wow. Peace signs. It's a thing now. Peace signs. 5 stars. The next book I have some conflicting feelings about. That is Dreamfall by Amy Plum. If you are not aware, I suffer from chronic nightmares. I have had nightmares every night since I was like 9 years old. So, yeah, I don't ever get a good night's sleep. I have chronic nightmares. They can range from just like goofy, kind of campy, weird shit to like dark, fucked up shit. Like, that would make Guillermo del Toro piss his pants. So, this book follows a group of characters who all suffer from sleep disorders. Most of them are insomniacs. There is a narcoleptic character as well, and I can't remember if there are any other ones. I cannot speak for that rep, because I thought this was going to be Chronic Nightmare rep, but it wasn't. This book follows a group of teenagers. I think there are 7 of them, and they are test subjects for a new kind of sleep therapy that is kind of like shock therapy that like puts you in a coma. Yeah, basically there's an earthquake and stuff happens with the equipment, like the equipment fails, and all of them are stuck in a shared dreamscape where they have to fight off their worst nightmares. There were some legitimately scary scenes in this book. No, it also follows 3 perspectives, 2 of which are test subjects, and the third is a student who is like observing / interning the experiment, like a med student. Some of the dreams in this book are scary. There's a lot of trauma that's being relived in the dreams. I want to rate this 5 stars very badly, but there is an issue with representation that bugs me. Once again, if you are not aware, I am autistic. These are things that we should have talked about on my channel before, but I took the hiatus, so you're just getting a lot in this wrap-up. I am autistic. I am on the spectrum. And there is a character in here who is made fun of by, you know how in like every ensemble horror group there's like the douchey asshole guy. Well, douchey asshole guy in this keeps talking about one of the characters and calls them autistic as like an insult in like a rude way, like stop being so autistic. And the character's like, I'm not autistic. And then everyone else is quick to correct douchey asshole and be like, that's not right, don't use that as a slur, that's mean, blah blah blah. And it's like, good on them for doing that, I guess. And also I totally understand having an asshole character who uses slurs or whatever. Like, I get it, it's kind of like, it's a horror novel, I don't expect political correctness. Here's the issue though. It is mentioned in the book that the character is believed to be autistic, and their parents refused to allow them to take the, test and see. And the character several times throughout the book insists that they are not autistic. Despite me reading them as autistic, like, they have a lot of experience that I share, things that I do. And in my head, that was like, oh, well, this character is autistic. But the character insisted that they were not autistic. The book even goes as far to explain, it's like, oh, well, we believe that this character is autistic, but they're not. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just being unfair. And I do some digging. On the author's website, they specifically list the character as autistic. And my problem is, like, why can't we just let characters be? Like, why can't we just have the character be autistic? And why do you have to even use the autistic thing as a slur in the first place? It just, there's something about it that rubbed me the wrong way. And I am still torn on a rating. It depends on what we're rating it on. If we're rating this book as a horror novel, I give it 4 stars. Because it did creep me out a little bit. And I understand, like, nightmares very well. Obviously, I've been having them every night since I was 9. But I can't in good faith give it 5 stars knowing all of this now about this specific character and having so many shared experiences. So this one, am I allowed to not give a book a rating and a wrap up? Can I just like say that this is like a null rating? Because I kind of want to do that. I don't want to encourage you to read this book because of this situation. But it's not a terrible book. I would say just be aware of this before you go in, of like there's no tea, it's not a scandal, but it's like, just be aware of this if you plan on picking this up. The next book I'm going to talk about today, thankfully, I'm done with that one, is Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. This was such a fun time. It follows a teen witch named Mila Flores who wants to do a spell to bring her best friend back to life and talk to her from like beyond the grave, because her best friend has just been buried. You know, she was murdered. The police ruled it a suicide, but Mila knows that her best friend would not kill herself without at least, you know, her knowing that there was something going on. Mila does the spell, and something happens, and accidentally brings back 2 other girls who were murdered earlier in the week, who were also ruled a suicide. And they have to figure out, like, who killed them, like, who their killers are, and, like, what they need to do, and, like, tie up loose ends. 2 things about this book, first of all. Don't go into it expecting realistic witchcraft. Do go into it expecting realistic fat representation. Mila is a fat queen. I stan. I want this book as a fucking movie. It needs to be a movie. I don't want it as a TV show. It's not long enough to provide enough TV show content. But as a movie, I want this. And I want Lizzo to do the soundtrack for it. Like, I'm imagining, like, Mila and, like, the 3, like, dead zombie girls, like, walking up and then, like a girl is playing. Like, it would be so badass. And I'm gonna. Yeah, it would be so good. I tweeted about this as well. I don't think I did a Twitter thread for Undead Girl Gang, but oh no, I did. This was one of my impromptu readathon books. Highly recommend this one. 5 stars, good time. I'll leave the thread down below and you can peruse it as you're liking to get my full thoughts. Yeah. Had a good time with this one. It's really fucking fun. Get a nap. I need wine and a face mask. The next book I'm going to talk about today is The Lost Coast by Amy Rose Capetta. And I talked about this last week in my NB Booktuber tag. This book follows a teen girl named Danny who moves to Tempe, California with her mother. That's where the redwoods are. And she meets a group of girls named the Grays. And the Grays are our teen witches who are super diverse. Just talking about the rep in this book, there is, right offhand, I know at least there is lesbian rep, there's bisexual rep, there's fat rep, there's non-binary rep, there's gray ace rep, there's aromantic rep. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. But basically, there are 6 characters in the gray. Like the Grays. There are 6 of the Grays, and they all ID as something different. This would be a fantastic Pride Month read. You might want to save it a little bit more towards Halloween, if you are so inclined to read witch books then, but I read witch books all the time. This book is fantastic. It's a little complicated to explain the plot of this book, because it feels like The Raven Boys, in the sense that it wants to be a plot-driven novel, but doesn't really know how, if you know what I mean. Like, it's very character-driven, but it wants to be plot-driven. Basically, the Grays summoned Danny to California somehow through a spell, because one of their own, Imogen, is missing, and they want to find her. And then, like, there's a very loose plot. So if you like plot-driven stories, this one might not be for you. I usually like plot-driven stories, but the characterization in this was so good. that this was a 5-star for me, like, right off the bat. This is going to be one of my favorite books of 2019. Also, it is own voices for bisexual rep and non-binary rep. Amy Rose Capetta is bisexual and non-binary. So, love that. Do it. This last one. I gotta do it. Okay, check it out. The last book I'm going to talk about today, and I haven't looked at this book since I finished it. I refuse to look at it. It's just been sitting underneath at the bottom of a stack of books on my dresser for like the 4 days that I've been, you know, waiting to film this video. And that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. And ouch. If you're not aware of what Crooked Kingdom is about, it is the sequel to Six of Crows. I read that earlier this year during my hiatus, so I didn't get to talk about it that much. Essentially, this book picks up where Six of Crows left off. In Six of Crows, there is a heist. It's a heist novel, and at the end, one of the main characters is kidnapped and held for ransom. This book is about getting that character back. And I don't want to talk about it. I'm pretending it hasn't happened. I'm pretending that this doesn't exist. And I haven't read it. I don't remember what it was like before I spent every day thinking about Wylan and Kaz and Inej. And I did a reading thread for this one too. And just go to the reading thread, because if I talk about it now, I'm gonna start crying. I gave this book 5 stars. This book is still a 5-star read for me, but I will say that I prefer Six of Crows to Crooked Kingdom. All of the feels in this, all of the fucking feels, god damn it, I don't want to talk about, I'm not going to talk about it because it's spoilery. But yeah, I finally understand all of the hype about this series, and I definitely recommend that you join in if you haven't, so that we can cry together. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a thumbs up and subscribe for more if you enjoyed looking at my face and hearing me ramble. If you've read any of these books, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts were, but as always, let's keep the comments spoiler-free, because we don't want anyone to get pissed off and start yelling, and then I have to step in and delete comments over dumb shit. It's okay if it matters, but like, it's dumb shit. Please don't spoil anything. All of my social media links will be below, as well as all of the threads that I mentioned, so you can take those journeys with me again and laugh at my pain, like a lot of people did. A lot of people were having fun with that Crooked Kingdom thread. Fuck you guys. Alright, I hope you have a wonderful whatever it is, wherever you are. I will see y'all next week with a new video.